Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to another video lecture by Kami Microbiologist. Today in this video lecture we are going to talk about termination of translation in prokaryotes. In the previous videos lectures of this series we talked about the protein overview, protein synthesis overview, and we talked about the initiation of protein synthesis. Before that we talked the requirement for protein synthesis, and then we also talked the elongation of translation in detail. And today in this video, this is actually the last video lecture of this series, and in this video lecture we are going to talk about termination of translation. Okay, so before that you need to understand the protein overview, you need to understand the requirements, that what actually be required for protein synthesis, and you also need to understand the initiation of translation and elongation of translation. Once you get idea about that, so then termination of translation will be very easy for you. So how the termination of translation will occur? So let me erase this one portion. And termination of protein synthesis or termination of translation. So let me write translation as well, although both have the same meaning. Now, how the termination, in this termination of protein synthesis or translation, we are actually going to talk about the introduction, and we are going to talk about the requirements. Moreover, we are going to talk about the mechanism. First of all, let me talk the introduction of translation, termination of translation. What happened when the ribosomes encounter, or when they reach to the stop codon, and when they reach to the stop codon and encounter the stop codon, after that what happened, the peptide chain which is present, a long peptide chain are formed whenever the ribosomes are moving. So due to this way, the amino acid transfer are binded and it will bring the amino acid, and then new amino acid transfer are bind to the ribosome, it will bring another amino acid. So when the amino acid are brought by each transfer RNA, so then what happened, a long polypeptide chain are formed. So due to this way, once a long polypeptide chain are formed, so then the ribosomes will encounter the stop codon. Once it encounter the stop codon, then after that some release factor are recruited here. Each release factor, what are the job of each release factor? Some of them release factor will cleave the polypeptide chain from the transfer RNA. Once it cleave the polypeptide chain, so then what happened, then another release factor will recruited here. Then next release factor will just break the ribosome subunit. Once the ribosome subunit are break down, so then what happen, the translation of protein synthesis will be end up, and we get the protein, and we get a long chain of polypeptide. Now this polypeptide will be folded, and after that the protein structure will be get. Now this protein will be then used for further purposes of the, means the cell use it for the further purposes. So this is about the introduction and overview. Now what happened in termination? If we talked about the requirements, so first of all let me talk the requirements. So what we required in this case? Again in this case we required the release factors. As you better know that we required the ribosomes, transfer RNA, messenger RNA, but along with this, all the transfer RNA and every subunit of the ribosomes and messenger RNA, we also required the release factor. And the release factor in this case, termination factor or release factor, let me write. So we mainly denote it by RF1, RF2 and RF3. This RF3 is sometimes called as RRF, ribosomal release factor. Okay, so we required each release factor in termination of translation. Now what happened if we explain it? So let's suppose this is again the messenger RNA, as you can see. Now these are the codon. So remember guys, when they reach to the stop codon, let's suppose this is the stop codon, it will be UGA. Okay, UGA, UAA or UAG, any one of the stop codon there will be. So this is actually what this is. Let's suppose the small subunit of the ribosome, and this is the large subunit of the ribosomes. So now let me repeat that what we are, at what stage we are. So this is the ribosomes. Now it moving. Now whenever it crossing each of the codon, and when it reach to the stop codon, as you can see, so after that, we get a long polypeptide chain, as you can see. After that what happened, if it encountered the stop codon, UGA or UAA or UAG, any one of the stop codon, once it encounter, So this is the A site, it is free. Now, this is the P site, in which the transfer RNA carry the long polypeptide chain, and this is the E site having the uncharged transfer RNA, as you can see. After that, what happened? Release factor, instead of another amino acid transfer RNA bind at that specific area at the stop codon. So at that stop codon, no amino acid transfer RNA are bind here. So instead of amino acid transfer RNA that are binded here, it will recruit it, or this stop codon will give signal to the release factor. So after that, the first release factor will get activated, and we call that release factor 1. So release factor 1 will get activated, and release factor 1 is nothing but it have a structure which is similar to the transfer RNA, but it have two domain. One domain is responsible for the binding, while the other domain is responsible for the cleaving, or it acting as an exonuclease. So if I draw the structure, so it will be look like in this form. Okay, so this is the first domain having the anticodon, which is complementary to this one, and this is the another domain which is specially used for the which acting as an exonuclease. So it will cleave this hydrogen bond. So how exactly it will be look like? It will be look like in this form. Okay, so it will bind here, as you can see. So when the release factor 1 bind here, so after that its first domain or second domain, whatever you can say, it will cleave the peptide bond between this transfer RNA and this whole chain of the peptide. So the bond will be break down or cleaved by this domain of the release factor 1, which acting as an exonuclease. So once this polypeptide chain are released out, so then we will get the protein in this structure. So after that, the protein will be formed. So remember guys, protein are, now the peptide chain once released, so it will be folded and it will be converted into a protein structure. So protein will be in a folded form, and this protein are used by the cell for different purposes. Okay, but this is not the end of translation. Once the release factor, why we call it release factor? Because it will release out this polypeptide chain. That's why we call it release factor. Once this release factor will cleave this whole peptide chain, and after that, once we get the protein, as you can see, so after that what happened? After that, another release factor will recruit it here, and we call that release factor 2. Okay, so what happened? Release factor 2 will come here, as you can see. So it mainly join at this 50th subunit area. This release factor 2 along with GDP, okay, GDP and inorganic phosphate, along with these two things, this release factor 2 will join that specific subunit or 50 subunit of the ribosome. Once it's joined this 50 subunit of the ribosome, what actually it going to do? It will absorb energy, or it will get energy from this GDP. Then this GDP will be converted into GTP. Remember, in all the cases what we talked that GTP is required for the energy, and it is converted into GDP and inorganic phosphate. After that, the energy will be released out, and this energy is used by the transfer RNA to bring on the ribosome subunit, on the ribosome. And after that, we also talked that this GTP is converted into GDP plus pi, because this energy is also used by the ribosomes movement. But in this case, what happened? The GDP is converted into GTP, and due to this way, the bond which is present between, bond means the release factor which is present at the A site will be released out. So these two things, as you can see, will get released out. So we can say release factor 1 and release factor 2 will get released out. So once these two factors are get released out, so after that what happened? This A site will get free again. Okay, So after that we will get the structure like that. So let me draw here. Okay, as you can see, now release factor are get out or release factor are released. So A site is again free, and we have two transfer RNA which is uncharged. Okay, now what happened? After that, release factor 3 will get activated, or ribosomal release factor will get activated, and it will bind at that specific point. So it is also nothing but to also have the transfer RNA like structure, as you can see. So once it bind here, so what actually it will do? It will, this ribosomal release factor, as the name suggests, so it will break this two subunit, but not alone. It will recruit another factor which we call that elongation factor. Remember, elongation factor, if you guys remember, we talked it in elongation of translation. Elongation factor will get activated. And if you guys remember, we talked that this elongation factor G is acting as a translocase enzyme, and it will get energy, means it is also connected with GTP. So this GTP will be converted or hydrolyzed in GDP plus pi. So this inorganic phosphate is means used for the energy purpose, and due to this way the ribosomes will absorb this energy for their movement. So after that the ribosome will move on. So when the ribosome will move on, so remember the transfer RNA is just present. It doesn't mean that transfer RNA will also moving. The transfer RNA is just present, but only the ribosome will move. So when the ribosome move, so what happened? This uncharged transfer RNA will be released out, as you can see. So remember, when this uncharged transfer RNA will get released out, after that this ribosome subunit will be break down. So after that what happened? We get the two subunit of the ribosome, large subunit and this is the small subunit. And moreover, all the other material like RNA as well as the transfer RNA, as you can see, is the first transfer RNA and this is the second transfer RNA. So all the transfer RNA will also be released out. All the other release factor will also released out. How this ribosomes are break down? The question arises here in our mind that how the ribosome are break down. The ribosome are break down because they required, first of all, they required this release factor, this ribosomal release factor or release factor 3. Once it bind here, so it doesn't mean that they will just break the this ribosome in two parts or in two subunits. It required this elongation factor G, which we talked in elongation of translation. So this elongation factor G have GTP, it convert this GTP into GDP plus pi inorganic phosphate, and this inorganic phosphate is used for the energy. Now this energy is used by this ribosome. So when a little bit this ribosome move, so this due to this movement the transfer RNA will get released out and it will break down. So due to this a little bit movement, what happened? The ribosome will break down and the transfer RNA will get, this uncharged transfer RNA will get released out. So after that we will get the structure like that. Now there is chances that this 50 subunit of the ribosome and 30 subunit of the ribosome again can be bounded with each other. But we should stop it. We should prevent this binding of the ribosome subunits with each other. How we can prevent it? Again, if you guys remember, we talked initiation factor 3 is required in this case, IF3. So IF3 will bind to the E site. I didn't draw here E site, but just imagine that it's the E site. So when IF3 bind here at the E site, what exactly it will going to? It will prevent this 50 subunit for the binding to the 30th subunit of the ribosome. So the ribosome subunit are not binded with each other by this IF3. And finally the process is completed. Termination of translation or translation will be completed. So this is all about the translation or the termination of translation in prokaryotes. Inshallah, this is end of translation, but inshallah in the next video lecture we are going to talk about the protein folding, that how the protein will be folded, and we are going to talk about heat shock protein and chaperone. Everything will be talked in the next video lecture, but it will be not the part of this translation. It will be a separate video lecture. I hope you get idea about the termination of the protein synthesis. If you like these videos, so make sure to hit the like button on each of the video, and also subscribe the channel. Thank you so much for watching.